Hello Enchanted Ones, and welcome back. Today join me within the woods for a very special fairy episode as we explore a rather special place, Faebles Wood. Here we will unlock mysteries, explore, unwind, and I'll even introduce you to my whimsical tree friends, as there is something special about this wood, and it is unlike any I've seen before. And I know exactly who is in charge here. I'm not walking on human land, but a fairies' land. They have called me here to tell me their story, and today I am living that story and giving it to you. So sit back, relax, and I will join you upon Faeries Island in Faebles Wood. Hello Enchanted Ones, and welcome! Today you have joined me in the Enchanted Wood on the very mysterious Faerie Island. I've been having so many adventures recently because, as you can see, the green has started to grow, the spring has arrived, and it's just so beautiful in the woods with all the flowers popping up everywhere. So I've made it over with a little bit of a struggle, as you can see, onto Faerie Island, where we've had a lot of rainfall recently. The little mini fairy falls around here are just really loud, and the water gives me such a comforting feel. The ground is quite wet though, so I've had to save myself from getting too muddy right now with one of my plastic bags. I know I'm gonna get muddy, guys. I know I always get muddy on an adventure, and that's okay. That's the fun of it all. I wasn't allowed to get muddy when I was younger, but I am now because this is my rules. The first thing I like to do on every walk is sit down and look and listen and just get my body aligned to nature. Let's face it, life is crazy. There's so much going on right now, and I'm all very up here, and I need to ground myself and just welcome myself into the wood and into the wood's frequency so we can become one, and I can just let the fairies and the trees and nature know that I have arrived and we are synced together. So I've got my favourite tea here, which is lemon balm and chamomile, and I love this new cup that I bought recently. I think it just highlights the beauty in having loose tea. I'm going to sit here, take everything in, and just be still and see what nature comes forth to me, whether I hear it or see it, because actually that is the fastest way to get yourself grounded, and it's the fastest way to get our minds into the present moment. The first thing I noticed was what I was sat upon, the floor, what was highlighted by the sun, what was old and what was new. There were many flowers that were growing independently here, and I watched them blow in the gentle wind. I then took my attention to the sky, where the sun shone between the trees, making its surroundings look darker, but highlighting the leaves upon the trees beautifully. And after a few minutes, it was like I had blended into the forest, and the nature was accepting me where I was, and going about their business within the woods around me. elements of this place for humans, but then there's elements for nature and myth and legend to thrive. I feel like this island is for humans and me, but I feel the garden over here, this is for the fairies, this is for the elves, everything, nature, the bees, the birds, to thrive. And I don't go there, I appreciate it from a distance. So there is a balance here, and it is my job, and I feel that very strongly, it's my job to maintain the balance here. So with that being said, let me give you the tour of my fairy island. At the moment, I'm sat underneath the hazel tree that is in the middle of the island, and it kind of gives us shelter when it rains and the wind, and it just marks this place. It just is my house. Do you remember when you were young and you kind of found a tree and you said, this is my kitchen, this is my dining room, this is my bedroom? Now this is just my home underneath this tree. It's just everything. It was my lounge, I'd say. This is my lounge of the forest here. Underneath the hazel tree, this is where I lay some of my items, so I call this my altar space. So when I find something new, I place it here on a walk or something like that. At the moment I've got my tea, but I've also got my book that I'll be writing in later. I've got some of my fairy finds here too. I have found this amazing fairy sword, which I found at a moment where I felt like I needed protection. So this sword is a reminder of that, which I place here. This shell of a snail here, which I liked. A lot of different little saplings from trees that don't really make it, and I feel sorry for them because this just started to sprout a leaf and then it had to fall off a tree. You will also find a load of different cones from the hazel tree here. I find so many of these around my home. Even though I am really good at cleaning myself off after I come here, they manage to find a way into my home, and I often wonder if it's the fairies kind of like giving little gifts to me. I don't know. Here is the one bluebell on Faerie Island that I sit next to, which I have to be really careful that I don't step on, and I am nurturing this with loving hands because last year it didn't make it, but this year it's going to make it. It has to. Its bloom is already coming up, but I just hope it flowers. Lemony. This is the fairy garden on the other side. This is a tree that fell over the first year I came here, and now it's kind of rotting away. Behind it is where everything flourishes. You can see the purple carpet is just starting to come out, and it's so beautiful. And the hazel tree that's lopsided over the top. And yes, it is an island because there is a stream that goes here, and there's a stream that goes here, and it breaks up there. So this is the other side of Faerie Island, and there's a beautiful fairy falls here, and also this whimsical hazel tree. It has, if you look very closely, a hole in it there, which I always find magical as it's a portal to the other realm. And the vines growing up the trees, there's a lot of that here, and you will see that later. Okay, so I'll join you over there and I will show you the dam. Upon walking with struggle to the other side of the island, you will find the lookout. Here you will find an array of bog plants typical of a British woodland and be surrounded by water. It is here you can look out and ponder, but also meet some water fairy friends. So down here we have the dam. It is amazing how nature has created this natural dam. This tree that's fallen here is allowing the water to filter through, and the water is so clean, it is so crystal clear, and it only tells us that this ecosystem is in natural balance and harmony with each other. Where I am standing right now is surrounded by what you keep hearing me saying, the fairy falls, and it's these really tiny waterfalls that have just accumulated through nature. And let me share with you some of my favourite ones. So we have the Faerie Dam here, and at the moment I am completely surrounded by water as I'm on the Faerie Island. So to get off it, of course, I have to jump over here. Next to the dam lives this glorious and our first fairy home. So let me share it with you. I think they are water fairies here. The door to the home is situated upon the riverside and is this whimsical eye shape. It even has its own fairy slide to slide home after a long day of being a fairy. After crossing the river, I do a well choreographed walk to make sure I don't step on any new life. And then I've made it into the centre of the Faebles wood. Here I saw the old oak gloriously lit up by the sun today, and underneath it was stitchwort, an ancient woodland flower that is edible and can help when you have a stitch. Now this is one of my most favourite places to be because of the sound of the water is so strong. This is the main falls. This joins the island together. So we have this side, this kind of very strong flow here. But then on the other side, it's just a little trickling stream. And where they part here is where the island begins. One of my favourite places because of the stream, but also right now because what I'm looking at across the stream again on the other side is a carpet of bluebells. So let's venture over there and we'll see what we can find. To get to the other side, I need to yet again cross the river. So I pass the bog and then I get to the Green Man Gateway. This is my friend. Can you see his face? And this is his no entry. But he told me I can have entrance because I asked nicely. So let's go. When I cross the river, I follow a bluebell-led path in what only way I could describe as Lara Crofting. There are a lot of fallen trees here and it feels like it's my obstacle path to make it through. But once I weave in and out, it is all worth it, as I am greeted with thousands upon thousands of dancing bluebells. Welcome, darlings, to the Bluebell Walk. This is just the best time, the best day, I think, for the bluebells. The carpet of bluebells here has just popped in the last couple of days, and I'm very lucky, but at the same time kind of confused. It's a bit of a mystery here in the woods because where I'm on now, this kind of like patch of dirt, this used to be a lot of bluebells and a lot of different wildflowers, but I have seemed to come out and it has disappeared. This massive patch of soil is now exposed, and I just feel like someone's taken a load of bluebells and planted them in their own back garden, which makes me very mad. But looking on the bright side, I am now face to face with these wonderful bluebells, like in alignment with them, and I have not experienced them this close before. Let's give them a little bit of a closer inspection. I found the white bluebell. I mention I always look for these every year. 1 in 10,000 English bluebells are white. Heavenly. You can tell they're British bluebells because their bell's only on one side and they're very delicate, whereas the Spanish bluebell has them on both sides and they look like, as my friend would say, they're wearing flamenco dresses. At a closer inspection, I saw that each bluebell had its own personality. Some bells are straight and resemble an upside down vase, and some have soft waves upon them. But undeniably, they are all so elegant and resemble a faeries dress. A bluebell living its life happily through a fern. So pretty. If we were fairies, this is what we would see if we were living in the bluebells. Now just rest on this flower. Ah, lovely. To the left of the Bluebell Walk lives the most whimsical fairy tree, and look closely at this one. It hosts multiple trees that are all moulded together into one big structure. On the other side of this tree, however, lies something a little more secret, and it is guarded by white bluebells. These fairy tale-esque silver birch trees stand parallel to each other, and when gazed in between the trees, you will see a whole hillside of bluebells and wildlife that is so inviting to any wandering traveller. I have been fortunate enough to find something in between these trees. I am now entering somewhere very secret, and at first glance you might not think there's a path there, but actually I found the smallest path fit for one person, and I believe it was made for me. I was in a dream. The wildlife, masses of bluebells, and an overgrown secret garden feeling. I was even lucky enough to find 2 white bluebells alongside the fallen tree, which I took as a sign of protection and enchantment for this new world. I often sit upon this fallen tree, and today I had to do a little bit more mapping out of this place to get the proportions right. Now this is the bit where I get confused, because I've been trying to map this all out and just need to get the proportions right on my map a little bit better. This is a fallen tree here, and then there's a tree here which is a hazel tree. Elder tree, this is an elder tree. Curves over, making it more secret here. And then you've got the path there, which has ferns and bluebells and nettle. And this is my perch. We call it. We should call it my elder perch. Is it an elder tree? Yeah. Silver perch. Oh my gosh. This is my silver perch. Oh my word, that is a good name for a bench. Silver perch. I have fun. I have fun out here by myself, guys. Along the path I went, with a bit of a struggle, but any fairy-led path will always present its challenges. I am careful to not tread on any life, as I want to show the Fae that I respect it and that I am its friend here.
But the more I went down the path, the more excited I grew as I knew what was coming. I could see the green from a distance, the most healing shade of green that I've ever seen. And just like that, I had arrived at the fairies' playground. Here lies thousands upon thousands of horsetail, which have all grown within the past 2 weeks. The carpet of green shines so bright within the sun, and it grows around some of my best friends within Faebles, the trees. I have always felt so protected here, and also very grounded, partly because of the secretiveness of this place, but also because it holds a magical secret. I have had issues with intrusive thoughts and dissociation my whole life, but yet, when I am here, the thoughts and feelings disappear, and my brain finds space. And I've only recently come to realise why that is. The horsetail here helps to cleanse with one's psychic space against unwanted intrusions. And as you can see, there is a lot of it. It is nature's natural mind healer to all of us, and to sit amongst it has made me feel myself again.
I find when I'm here, I feel like I'm with my friends, which are the trees, and I speak to the trees. They all have these certain characters, and they're all very whimsical in their own way. For example, Alwyn over there just has this one long vine growing up it and twisting around it, whereas Lauren here has multiple trees. It's one big structure. It seems like a little home that I can just kind of perch underneath and just like be like a little hobbit underneath, whereas a morgue here is just like really like, wow, look at me. She's got so much going on. She's got style. And Racillion over there is just like a group of trees, a cluster of trees over there. Again, I like to go beneath it and do a little bit of meditation from that angle. And we've also got the bog that I call behind me.
On my last walk, I studied Lauren, the tree I'm sitting underneath, to capture its beautiful details. And today I am to continue this, and I want to study a morgue, the tree I sat across, that has so many quirky details.
Each time I'm out here, such a great activity to draw what I see, and it just makes it a little bit more of a fun, memorable walk to journal as I go. And this tree is very intricate, and you kind of realise how intricate nature is. Like, what is going on here? There's a lot going on. And the water in the background from the bog over there, just gently flowing. Oh, it's so heavenly. And I found a little face, like a chihuahua face.
I knew it. The fairies had played the most hideous trick upon me today. This tree was most definitely not for the innocent eyes when studied closely.
Looks a bit rude, doesn't it? I don't know what to think of that. What did I just draw? What can you see?
But that's the thing about working with the Fae. Sometimes you get to see their mischievous nature. If you want to make friends with wood fairies, my advice is introduce yourself. Be a friend to nature, be open-minded, and above all else, expect curious things to happen. But for now, I am to share with you a few more fairy finds back in the heart of Faebles.
So we're now in the opening of the Faebles wood, and this is the one place that has its own path And I found something the other day here that I think you would appreciate. In the distance, I saw what looked like a sword shape. Oh, an eye. And it led me to this fallen oak tree. And it looks like a whole fairy kingdom, a village, has grown itself on it. I'm not going to go too close because I want to just appreciate it from a distance. But there is the sword. And the sun shines beautifully on it, creating this really lovely silhouette at the top there. Sword also is the element of air, which I think is right and fit for the fairies. So of course it's protecting this whole structure. And we have a lot of wood anemone growing on it, a lot of wood sorrel and ivy, all in this enchanting way that looks like little mini villages. Here we are at the Faeries headquarters, and what do you think? What do you think of this beautiful hazel tree? Hasn't it got just a story to tell? How did it get like this? How did it become hollowed out? How did all these plants grow around it, almost like a front garden, and the vines just growing up it in this very whimsical, homey way? It's just like someone's moved in. What can I say? Someone's moved in, and I like to talk to them, if I'm honest. This is somewhere that I like to go often if I'm not on Faerie Island. I love the dappled shade here, and I love that there's bluebells growing here, and it's just a very ancient feel this place has. I love to talk to the fairies here. I love asking for wisdom. I love asking for guidance. Majority of the time what happens is I ask if there's something I need to do to better myself, and they normally say I am dehydrated or I need to look after myself more. So that is definitely something I'm going to be trying to work on this spring, because it's so important to look after yourself. So I need to remember that. I also love scribing, so looking into the door, not like peeking my head in like, hello, anybody there, but looking from a distance, and kind of, I almost feel sometimes that there's this portal, this is other realm, and I can see into it, and I see images flash up and pop up that I need to see and hear at that time. I don't know if you've ever experienced something like that, but I really have recently, where it's been more active in the woods, experienced things like that. So in a minute we're going to just stare into the door from a distance, from a loving, caring distance. I, on the other hand, have really enjoyed making this video. It's taken 3 days. This outfit is 3 days old. The reason for that is because it's actually been really hot here, but also getting into some of these nooks and crannies in the woods is so difficult and challenging with a camera. I didn't think it'd be so hard, but I'm falling everywhere. I'm not very good on my feet anyway, but try carrying a camera and a book with you wherever you go. And yes, it's not it's not for the faint-hearted, but I've really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys have too. So let us gaze and see what we can see in the Faerie headquarters in the Faebles wood together. And I hope you enjoy, Enchanted Ones.
And that is where our story ends, Enchanted One. But thank you so much for joining me today within the Faebles Wood, where fairies are cheeky and trees are forever listening. All my love, Alwyn.
A real life shot now of what it's like crossing this with all of this gear. And this is actually helping me. It's kind of like my Zimmer frame. Right, okay. I'm going over here. I'm trying to find spots that are not, there we go, that don't have nature on them. And I'm finding my pathway that I've created basically, which is for me to have two, there we go. Whew. Okay, it's not very many steps, the pathway. Okay.